AI is this rising tide for so many tech companies right now, but you're convinced it's only going to lead to that handful of companies really emerging as true winners. How do you pick them then?
Yeah, and thanks so much for having me. You know, I draw the analogy to the early days of the internet. The way we use the internet today is leaps and beyond, bounds beyond what we could have imagined even at the height of the bubble in 1999. And yet ask, where is Webvan, where is Pets.com, where are all those, stalwarts of the bubble? It was really Amazon and maybe a handful of others that the value accrued to from that time. And I think AI is going to be like that. How do we pick them? I think we look, especially in software, which is my area of coverage, I think we look at the companies where we're seeing the most amount of innovation happening, where they are moving quickly to really embrace generative AI, and where they're really re-architecting around that. And for me, that's names like not just Microsoft, that's HubSpot and MongoDB as well.
Oh, okay, so there are the building blocks people, right? I mean, we talk about the NVIDIAs of the world, the hardware side of things, because they make the stuff that goes into some of these, infrastructure type plays. You talk about the software companies, and there's a bunch of people in the middle, and there's a bunch of people who can use AI applications to drive their software business. Maybe a company like Salesforce, maybe a company like Zoom. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of others out there. What exactly then makes the value proposition more positive for some of those companies versus others?
I think it's two things. Number one is the speed at which companies are moving. And there's the reason I deliberately said HubSpot, because HubSpot is challenging Salesforce very much head to head. And I would love to see, because Salesforce should be in a good position to benefit from generative AI, but it feels like I need to see a little bit more out of Salesforce in terms of them acting and integrating this technology much more rapidly than what I've seen out of them. The other thing that I think really matters, and this is maybe an oversimplification, but we need to think, is integrating these generative AI features, are you adding more value than what someone can do on their own by having ChatGPT open in a separate browser window? That's really kind of the baseline test I'm looking for. And when I see these announcements, I see the product offerings, I talk to customers, that's what I'm really seeing is, are they delivering enough value that they can charge for this? If there's no monetization, it doesn't matter.
There's been a big question that I've heard a lot from traders and investors who are trafficking in many of these AI ecosystem type names. And that is what an appropriate valuation is. I mean, these are not companies that generate a ton of profits. They may generate a modicum of sales. How exactly then do you say that a company is rightly or undervalued and has room to grow, as opposed to one that may have already realized a lot of the gains already?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to really think about that monetization piece, right? And for a company like Microsoft, or for a company like HubSpot, when we really take it to the model and we start to say, okay, Microsoft's obviously a really profitable company, how much more incremental revenue and really how much more incremental free cash flow can Microsoft generate from things like Office Copilot, GitHub Copilot, Security Copilot, all the Azure OpenAI services? That one's kind of an easy one, but we can also think about what can HubSpot get as a result of ChatSpot? What can a company like NICE, which sells contact center software, get as a result of selling generative AI into the actual contact centers themselves? And ultimately, that's where we make the decision, are these stocks really pricing in too much? Is this a company like Palantir that's pricing in way too much from AI versus what the economic reality is? Or is it a company like MongoDB, HubSpot, and Microsoft that we think that there's a lot of room to run on the backs of AI that's not in anyone's models yet?